Hi everyone, I am Jenna and this is Apple Dolly. Welcome. I appreciate you hopping on and joining me. What we're doing today is we're taking a book and we're making something out of it. I went to Salvation Army and picked up some books. You need a hardcover book. Now, if you're going to use paperback book, you have to stabilize your outside covers, the front and the back, because what we're going to do won't stand up. So you can do that with poster board, cardboard. And this one, it had the name of the book embossed down the spline, and it was really bright red. So I painted this whole book, and I used Castle chalk paint. It's made by Folk Art. And I got this from Walmart. So that's what I did. So you just need a couple of books. Hi Rose, you just need a couple of hardback books. They're the easiest to do this with. Your pages, you need from 250 to 350 pages. Hi Mom. Now, I did one with almost 500 pages, and it's going to be beautiful. We're going to finish it, but I just painted this whole cover, only because I didn't want the bright red title to be showing. So, you need something for a head. We're making an angel. I picked up a whole bunch of these at Salvation Army the other day for like $2.59. There was like 60 of them. Hi, Linda. So you can use a styrofoam ball. I'm using these. I use these a lot of times for heads because they're so cheap and you get so many of them. Like 60 of them. 60 of them at Salvation Army the other day was like $2.59. So I mean, styrofoam ball, you're going to get 3 of them, 2 of them in a pack for $1.25 at Dollar Tree. So why not use these? Now, some of these, if you can see, have a dent in them. That doesn't matter because, hi, Di. You made it, huh, Diana? So it don't matter because we're going to decoupage this. Now, I have a whole bunch of these paper doilies. I used the lacy part of them, but I still have the center. So I saved these because that's what we're going to use to decoupage our ball. Now you can do it with the styrofoam. You can decoupage on styrofoam too. And what I'm using is the Grunge Mod Podge that we've been using in I don't know how many crafts, and we still have a good bit in this jar. So all it is my Grunge recipe is pinned to the top of the page. It's just instant coffee and water. And I add vanilla and cinnamon to it because I like that smell. And that smell does last quite a while. So that's what this is. And we're just using the paper napkin or the paper doily. Now we've been using this glitter for quite a while. This is Snowy Surprise. I got it from Walmart. It's made by Sunland. It was like $2 something for this jar. And you can see there's still a ton in that jar. And we've been using this. So a little bit of this goes a long way. Now this is a chunky glitter. You can use a real fine glitter. But I'm going to show you the finished one before we start making this. Because this chunky glitter shows up on this angel absolutely gorgeous. So you need some doilies. Now you can use the paper doilies. I'm using cloth doilies because I have a whole tote of these things and I use them for everything. Now this is a coaster size one that I've cut in half and I'll point it out on the angel. And I also have, when we did the Nativity Angel, we stiffened some of these. This is also this Grunge Mod Podge. I stuck them in a Ziploc bag, poured some of the Grunge Mod Podge on it, made sure they was coated, laid them flat to dry. So we did use these for wings on the other one, but we're using them for something else now. So we have those. What else are we using? Oh, the corkscrew ribbons, the lace that we did. Now this is the same Grunge Mod Podge in a baggie. Throw your flat lace that started out like this, flat lace in it, squish it all together and wrap it around a straw. And it took 24 hours to dry. And when you get corkscrew ribbon. Now if you remember, we made some of these to put on floral wire to make picks for a tree. So see, I have some red lace. This is Dollar Tree twine, and this is jute rope. So you can use anything like this. You can do it with raffia. Wrap it around, lay it to dry, because it has the Mod Podge in it. It's glue, so it will stick to the straw. And then when it's completely dry, twist the end of the straw the opposite way than you wound the ribbon on it, and break it loose, and this is what you got. Corkscrew ribbon. We're using that as hair, just like we did on the Nativity Angel. So I'm going to show you the finished one, and then we're going to make her. Now this is a very, very old craft. I have been bringing back some of the old crafts and kicking them up a notch. And this is her. This is the Christmas ornament that I just Mod Podged this paper on, and then I used Dollar Tree Snow and coated her head. See the doily there? I used some of the paper from the book wreath that we made, and I made her a bow out of that. And we're going to make paper ribbons, or paper roses. So that is what we're making. Now, the book we're going to finish, I'm going to show you how to do that, because this is an old, very old craft. I remember making these with Mrs. Hill in 2nd grade in Baltimore. I remember that teacher so distinctly because she was always having us make something. And we made Christmas trees, but we're using this as an angel. Now you need your book, like I said, 250 to 350 pages. Now the one we're going to finish is 450 pages, and it was a little hard to get all the pages folded when I got to the end of the book. You want to leave your first 3 pages and your last 3 pages not folded, because those are her arms and her wing. So let me turn it this way. And today we have this pop-up again. I've tried to get rid of it so I can see what you're seeing. Okay. So I'm folding the pages from left to right. However you start folding, you need all your pages to go that direction, because if you have one folded the opposite way, it's going to stick out like a sore thumb. And also, when you're folding your pages, you want to use a more modern book, because the finished one is a book from the 1950s. The pages were brittle. And I had a hard time with that book with the pages ripping. So you are going to get some ripping up here, but that's okay, because the page, when you go to fold it, it will rip a little bit in this corner. We're putting a collar on her, and it's fine. So all this is you take one and do one page at a time, because if you try to like speed this up and do multiple, you're going to go back and fold each page again. So it saves you a step. So I'm going left to right. Open your page up and fold it. This is your top edge. You want this edge in the spline of your book, and you want it tucked in there pretty tight. So just work with this upper corner, the top of the page, because that's where you're going to get your rippage at. And if you just take your finger and fold this, you can get it. And you just keep going until you got your book done. Now I did 3 of these, and that one was 450 pages. And one was 350 pages, and the other one was, I think, was almost 300. I did 3 of these this morning in a half hour. So, I mean, this is something you can take with you to doctor's office. You're waiting on your kids. You know, you're going on a trip and you're not driving. Take your books and fold them. Because this is something you can stop and start. Now, think about, you're going to see somebody that is sick. You want to send them a gift. A Christmas gift, a birthday gift. I have a floral shop here in town that's going to carry these to give them as sympathy gifts. I mean, you get sympathy gifts. They give throws, they give bells. Wouldn't that make a beautiful sympathy gift? So, let's see how that goes. So we're just going to fold these. You know, this is something that you can put a tag on it. If you have a Cricut, you can do tags. You can do scriptures and put on that, because it will hold it. Now, if you fold one of the pages, you don't get one page tucked in enough into the spine of the book. When you get a few pages ahead, you'll know it. You'll go back and refold that page. These are not glued together. Now we are going to add Mod Podge to the front and glitter, but these are not glued. And you just keep going. See how fast I'm doing these? And I'm just helping up at the point. I'm helping it along, and I'm just tucking it down into the spline. And you just keep going until the last 3 pages of the book. Now what I do is I go to the last 3 pages and I count 3 pages, and I put a piece of paper there just so I know when I get to that page, I need to stop. If you happen to fold those pages, you can unfold them, okay? Because we're going to twist them, because paper you can manipulate. Now this is the one that's 450 pages. Look at her dress. It is going to be spectacular when we get done with this. Look at this. Now, the reason why this was so hard when I got to the end was because you have to hold these open to get the last ones folded, and there's so many pages here, it was hard to get these last few pages folded and tucked. But she's going to be spectacular. So let's do, and I'm using, this is a glitter ball. I'm going to leave this glitter just like this because that one I am doing in gold, but I'm going to show you how I decoupage this. Now grunge, if you haven't used it, you constantly got to shake it, because I have cinnamon in this, and the cinnamon settles to the bottom. And also, one thing about grunge, you have to keep it refrigerated, because if you think about it, it's coffee, cinnamon, vanilla, and water. That's what grunge is. It will mold because you got food. It's food items in it. So you have to keep it refrigerated. Just pop it in a microwave for a few seconds to heat it up, but you constantly got to shake it. So I'm just going to use, now this is the tinted Mod Podge. I'm just going to put it on. And this is the same way we did paper napkins on the jars earlier. Well, it's probably about 4 months ago we did that. And because this is a round surface, we need smaller pieces of paper. So I'm just going to cinch that right there. Just hold it on, push it in, push it down, and take more Mod Podge over it. A little bit of Mod Podge goes a long way. Now we've been using this one jar for what? I made that jar full the beginning of November. So you just want to work out your wrinkles and lay down your next piece of paper, which I am going to tear these up a little bit more. Now, I am holding it by the hanger. I have my glue sticks here in just a tin can, and I have a skewer. When we get done, I'm going to take that hanger off and stick the skewer up into that hole and just stick it in my can here to dry. So I use skewers for all kinds of things. So if you have some Christmas ornaments where the paint's coming off, or like these, I have a couple of these that are dented that I bought, cover them up. You can use napkins, you can use scrapbook paper, you can use ribbon. If you're doing a very rustic angel, you can cover this whole thing with twine if you're doing a rustic one. And we're just taking little pieces of paper that would have been thrown away. You can also use paper towel, tissues for this. So we're just going to keep going and keep doing this till we have the whole head covered. And then I like the look of the snow, the faux snow on this. You can also cover your whole ball with spackling. So whatever the look you're going for, if you're going for really rustic, you can use spackling, you can use twine, you can use the lace that we made the hair out of on this. So we're just going to keep going till we got it all covered, and when it dries, it's going to be the coffee color. And then I'm just going to sprinkle the faux snow over it. So I'm going to pull this off and stick my skewer in there and let it dry. And I always have baby wipes because I get really messy with this stuff. Now if you're doing a lot of this, you can take your foam brush and stick it in a baggie and just twist it and set it aside. You're going to be doing this a couple days in a row. Stick your baggies with your foam brushes in the refrigerator. So we have her. Now the back of this book, I haven't done anything to. You see the gold writing? I don't want to see that. You can cover this if you have leftover gift wrap right now, or a gift bag, fabric, scrapbook paper. But I believe I had this, excuse me, I dropped my glue gun, which I don't have plugged in and we need, so that was maybe a good thing. So I have this doily that has been grunged with coffee, and I think I'm going to put this on the back. Now if you saw the original one that we made, there is a doily that comes up the back of her head. I like that look. You don't have to do this. I like that look. So I have this big doily here, and I think I'm just going to, because the book is brown, this is still damp. The book is brown. I think I'm just going to glue that on there like that. This is still damp, it's still drying. So this is what we're starting with. This is 450 pages. So I'm going to lay it down so that you can see it. Let me layer it this way. That way you can see the front. And I'll try and work backwards. Sometimes that doesn't work out very well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull these pages together like this and hold them. And I'm going to take some of the grunge, just like on that one. hold this together, and I'm going to just lightly go over the folds on the page, just like this. Now you can do this also, tint your Mod Podge with a paint and get a real light color. But I'm into the grunge right now, and a lot of other people are too. So whatever the consensus of what everybody's doing, I'm just doing a really, really light coat. I'm going to take my glitter and just go down over it. Just light coat, because it gets a lot of shimmer. That's the one thing I do like about the glitter that's not extra fine. Now the extra fine will really shine on this, but I just want a little bit of shine. So we're going to take these 3 pages that we left unfolded, and you're going to take the corner and you're going to tightly start just twisting this. Just like this. This is going to be her arm, okay? So we'll take some of this Mod Podge, because it is a glue too, and I'm going to put right here, right at the spline. See that? Fold this right into that Mod Podge. Now that's going to hold it. And I'm going to take a little hot glue, and I'm just going to put on the edge of the page. And that hot glue will hold this. My arm came untwisted. So you're just giving her like a bell sleeve. So when you hold it up, this one we're going to have to open up a little bit more, because there's so many pages. There you go. She's got a sleeve. And the Mod Podge will dry and hold it, and also the hot glue will hold it. My hot glue gun's still dry, or heating up. So then we're going to do the same thing on this side. But when you bend these pages, they stay bent. And then we're going to put Mod Podge and stuff on them, and they will stay just like that. Well, everybody's being so quiet. You're really engulfed in what I'm doing. And see, this is an older book too, so there, we just need to give her some bell sleeves. Now the pages do get a little limp because of the Mod Podge, because you're wetting them, but that's okay. So then we're going to take the next page, and we're going to roll it also kind of tight, but we're not leaving it rolled tight. We just want it to bend. See, it simulates the wing. See that? So you have one rolled for the sleeve, and then 2 for the wing. Now you can actually, if you wanted, you could put wings here. pull this one a little tighter so it doesn't curl up inside of that outer one. There we go. So we have our sleeves and we have our wing. Now you can take some of this and just lightly tint these and put some of the snow, let's do snow, on it. Now you want to do this over top of something that will catch this. See that? Okay. Now when you fold your book, you have an opening right here. You can take the hanger part of your bulb and stick it right down in there for your head. Okay? So we're going to do her collar first though. So I have this this is a coaster size doily. I picked these up at Hobby Lobby. I got a whole bunch of them. So we're going to we're going to put some hot glue right into the center. And we're going to push this right into that glue. Now I'm going a little bit above the top of the page so I can fold this in. So I'm going to go from one side to the other. And I'm gluing the end, pushing the end in first. And then I'm just going to push this in so it gives a little bit of a gather. Can you see that? I'm going over on this side. It's one thing I like about that glue gun, it heats really fast. But it gets really hot too, so there's part of a collar. I also picked up this little gathered lace that has a gold, yeah, you can see it, gold in it. And I'm going to put this on her also. So let's measure how much we need. Now I got that from Hobby Lobby. So I'm going right over top of the doily. Now we can also put this along her sleeve also. I didn't bring my finger protectors out. So there you go. See that? Now we're also going to make a bow out of some of the paper that we made the book wreath from. So I'm leaving this ball exactly the way it is because it's glittered. And I'm doing this glitter gold, and so I'm just going to leave this as is. But most of the time I do decoupage. So I'm putting some hot glue on the top of the book where all these pages are folded, and I'm putting a little bit into the spline, and I'm just going to stick that in there, right down in there. So what do you think so far? No one's saying anything. Are you amazed? Are you like, what is she doing? What? So I'm going to take this doily, the one I showed you, and it's already been grunged and stiffened, and I'm going to glue it to the back. I like the way the doily looks behind her head, even though we're going to give her a halo, but I like that look. So I'm going to glue all along the top, because this doily goes almost the whole length and width of the book. I'm going to start at the top, and I'm going to figure out how much of this I want to show. So fold your book in a little bit when you do this, and then glue this on. because you want your to be bent just a little bit at an angle. And then I'm just going to go and just glue the rest of this on. There's no rhyme or reason, just gluing it on just so it sticks. Now if your doily's a little too long at the bottom, you can trim it off. And I'm going to put a little dot of glue right on the back of her head, because this one is still damp. It's not totally dry. It takes a good while when you're stiffening doilies for them to dry. I'm also going to pin to the top of the page a recipe that my mother used to take doilies. I don't know if Diana, you will remember this. Mom used to take doilies and put them in a sugar solution and then drink the doily down over a bowl and let it harden like that. And she used to decorate with those. Do any of you remember anybody doing that? So, let me turn this around so you can see. See? It's just going to cover my back. I didn't paint this book because it's brown and my doily is a brown, so I need to glue a little bit more on this side. When I was telling Tony what I was doing, why I needed to go thrift shopping for books, he wasn't quite sure what I was talking about, but I showed him the finished one this morning and he liked it. So, okay, I'm just going to hold this for just for a second till this glue catches, because we're gluing fabric to paper. Okay, so I'm going to lay her down. And I'm going to take some of this hair that we made. Oh, I need to turn it the other way so you can see. I'm taking 4 pieces of this is what I put on the other angel. So how long is this? This is the length of a straw. I used, I don't know how many yards of ribbon. I put it in a baggie. All of it. I didn't cut it prior to. Then I poured my tinted Mod Podge on it, and I took it out and ran my fingers over it, wrapped it on a straw, and set it on parchment paper to dry. I have some right now drying. I did 100 straws at a time. That's what I do, because I use this a lot for hair. So this is the length of a straw. That's how long this is. No, men don't have a vision, Diana. So I'm going to set this up so you can see. I'll work backwards. So I'm just going to take my hot glue, and right where the doily and the head meet, I'm going to put just some glue right along the top. And I'm going to push a piece of this right in there. So I'm using 4 pieces. That's what I used on 1, 2, yeah, 4 on the other one. But you can make this as thick as you want. And you can also not put hair on her. But I always take everything up a notch from what the original is. A patient of mine, somebody made his daughter one, and she had it in a curio cabinet. And when I was trying to think of stuff to make, I thought, I'm going to do Belinda's Angel. So that's what I'm calling this, Belinda's Angel, because she's the one. But I remember doing these in school. But we did Christmas trees, not angels. So I'm just pushing this in. You don't need a lot. And then I'm going to put some glue on this each side just to hold it down to her head. Now I looked on Oriental Trading because they used to carry miniature, tiny little Bibles. And I thought it would be nice to put one in her hand. But they don't have them. Not right now, they don't anyway. So I sent them a message to see if they're still carrying them. Ouch. And if I can still order them. So I'm just pushing this down on the sides of her head just so it will form her head. Just like this. Now if this is too long, we can trim these up. So we've had a very busy weekend. Friday I drug Tony all over to stores looking for stuff I need for these lives. Because some stuff you can't buy new. I mean, you can buy a brand new hard, but you're going to pay $20 for it. Well, this is $1.49, $1.69, something like that. So, and then it keeps it out of the landfill, right? And then if you watch some libraries, certain times of the year, they have free books. And so you can pick up a free book. You might have a book. But just remember, if you're using a paperback, you have to stiffen the front and back cover somehow. And the way I do is just take a piece of poster board, cut it, and glue it on. So I have string pearls that I'm using on these ones. Now if you remember on the Nativity Angel, I used a hoop earring and pearls. So you can use a piece of lace, a twine, anything round. So let's form this first. So this spool of pearls I picked up, well those are left over from our wedding, but got them from Hobby Lobby. So I'm going to push this in and not burn myself. And just make a circle on the top of her head. And just push it right into that glue. I usually have a popsicle stick here that I use for pushing, but I'm trying to get out of my dining room and I'm moving everything into another room. Because I don't want my dining room to look like this. Y'all can't see my mess I have in front of me. I clean it up after every live and it just seems like, oh, I got another live to do, so I drag it all back out. So we're setting up in another room because Tony does YouTube videos and he does it on guns and safety and test new products, and that's what his is about. There you go. What do you think so far? So we're going to sit her aside and let her dry. Okay, let's sit her aside so she can dry. Now, I have some book pages left from the book wreath that we made. So I cut them up. I used scrapbook scissors. You don't need, because I want the decorative edge. You don't need to do that. See how it gives a decorative scalloped edge? You can rip it. You can just cut it and have the straight edge. It's whatever you want. Now you want these 1/8 of an inch, no more than an inch wide, because we're going to fold these into roses. And if you have any more than an inch, you're going to have to cut it anyway, because when you get the rose made, because it's too thick of a rose. So you don't want to go any more than an inch. Now you can buy ribbon folded roses. Since we're doing paper and I got leftover paper from another project, we're using it. So let me move the one that we have made over, because we're going to add to her. Now I also have picked up from Hobby Lobby. This is like a fabric leaf, garland, ribbon, something, but it's fabric. So we're going to use this as our leaves on our roses. So I have that left over from the wedding too. So I kept all my craft supplies. So what you're going to do is, after you get your strip cut, and how long your strip is how big of a rose you want. Now we're going to cut some of these in half and make tiny roses. So right at the beginning, you'll fold it into a triangle. Yes, Mom, I do remember those Mr. and Mrs. Santa made from a book. So what you're doing is you're folding this over and you're going to start rolling this. You're going to roll it 3-4 times. And at the beginning you want it to be tight. Okay? So then you roll it 3 or 4 times. We need a dot of glue. And then you're going to, here's your rose, fold this edge backwards right alongside of your rose. So you have your rose on this side, or the beginning of your bud. Fold it that way and turn it. Now your paper is down now. You need to fold it back up and roll it around. So this is what you have. So we have our bud in the middle that we've already made. Now we're making the petals. So the flower is facing me. We're going to fold the paper backwards and fold it around. And you see how that's starting to form? Fold it and turn it. Now the paper's up. Fold it down at an angle. We're always making an angle there, and fold it around. So as you start to do this, you start to see your petals of your roses. Now as you're doing this also, you want to keep pushing the center together because you want the bottom to be flat. So I'm going to fold it backwards and twist it around. And fold that, and that made a petal. So here and there as you're doing it, you want to put a dot of glue. Because as you're doing it, you will feel that it's getting loose. Now your center is tight, but as you twist this around, it gets looser and looser. See how we're doing that? We're going to fold this up and we're going to end it. And we just made a flower. So then we're going to glue this end. And we have a rose. Okay? We're calling it a rose. So I'm just going to push the top and bottom together because you want this to be flat because we're gluing this on her skirt. Now you can use scrapbook paper. You can do this with ribbon, or you can buy them already done. It's up to you. So I'm going to take some hot glue and I'm going to put it right in the center on the bottom of the rose. And I'm just going to push that glue in there. I'm just putting a little bit and I'm working it around. And what that's going to do is get down into those folds and hold it together. Now I'm going to put some more glue on here. And I'm going to stick it right here where I have these other roses. Now you can make these in all sizes. You can make tiny ones and you can come up the one side of her dress. This is going in the fold. Let me get it back out of there. We're just putting it right on the edge of the page. So you have to hold it there for a second for it to catch and then you can also glue it to the rose beside it. And it's just paper, so it sticks very good. You just have to hold it for a second because we are gluing it right to the edges of these the pages. There you go. So I'm going to make some to come up this flat part of her skirt and up onto the folded part of her skirt. So now this one is about an 1/8 inch wide. This one is a little harder to do because, hi Marilyn, because you have such a tiny little, so this one I start off more than like 4 rounds because it is so tiny. And at this point too, you also have to be very vigilant with this hot glue gun. Use just a dab because you will get burned really bad. And if you all remember, just about a month ago, I had a really bad burn. It took 3 weeks to go away. So I just got it just wound, kind of tight there. Now I'm going to start turning it. I'm going to bend it. The folded part we just did, the bud, is facing me. I'm folding the paper the opposite direction, so it's down. Now this V part, I'm going to fold around the bud. Now I'm going to fold it up. And you're doing this at an angle. You're folding your paper at an angle. And I'm going to twist it around. Now I'm folding it backwards, down. And I'm twisting this. And the whole time I'm pressing the top and bottom together. So I want you to really understand what I'm doing here, because that's why I'm doing another one. Now I'm folding this up at an angle. The crease I just made, the angle, is right next to the bud. And fold it around. Now turn it down and fold that petal. So we're making the petals of the rose. So then I'm folding it up. Now the crease is right along the petal. And when you're doing this, you can see. And turn it around. Fold it around. So what we're doing is we're just creating the petals of the rose. You go up once and you go down the next time. You go up, you fold it around, then you turn it down and fold that around. See if I can get close enough for you to see the rose. So I'm folding it up and I'm twisting it around, and then I'm folding it down and I'm twisting it around. Folding it up. And see, each time your paper should be pointing either up or at the side. And I'm turning it around. We've made another little paper rose. Now these tiny ones, at least my fingers, if I'm making very many of them, I've got to stop. So I've glued that end on, and then I'm taking the top and bottom of the rose and I'm pushing it together. That way you get a flat bottom. And then we'll take the glue again and I'm going to work it into all those layers. And then I'm going to glue this on her dress. And I'm going up her dress now with these little ones. So here and there, I'm going to start adding this leaf garland. So I'm just going to cut a piece of it off. And I'm going to wind it. I'm not putting it straight. I'm going to wind it up her dress. So I'm going to go, I already have a piece there. So I'm going to put some glue right where that one ends. And I'm going to stick this one on. Now, because we're gluing to the edges of the pages, you have to give it a little bit longer time to catch, this glue to catch. So I'm bending it and I'm sticking it in there. And I'm going to go all the way up to where her, it's harder to do backwards. And this bends Very, very easy. I used a lot of this Ivy ribbon for our wedding stuff. You just have to hold this because you're gluing it on such a tiny little surface, the edge of the page. And what this also helps do is hold your pages together more. So we have to go back and finish the one we started here. This is one I did earlier, but I just want to show you some finishing touches because she should be dry now. So now this is stuck in her hair. Now I'm going to show you how to make this paper bow too. Stick that in there. Right up underneath her collar. So see how I wound it up? Now I'm going to put tiny little paper roses going all the way up that garland. So here's the one that we made on our line. So all the glue should be dry now. So we're going to do her bow. Same thing. I'm taking tiny strips, this is the 1/8 inch, of this, got glue strings everywhere. All I'm doing is taking the edge of the ribbon and I'm making a loop. How big? It depends on you. How many loops? It depends on you. And I'm folding it over. I got 2 loops. I'm only doing 2 loops. And you'll see why here in a moment. So I'm just going to take a little bit of hot glue. I'm going to put on the inside to catch the first loop we made. And then I'm going to pull back this edge of the second loop and put a dot of glue. And while the glue is still soft, I'm going to squeeze this center together. Just squeeze it together. And while you're doing this, you can also keep your loops straight. So that's what we have. So I just pushed it together while the glue was still soft. Well, let me cut another skinny piece. So I'm just using scrapbook scissors. You don't have to use this. You can use straight edge. You can tear your pages. If you dampen the edge of your page a little bit, it will rip very easy. It'll come off and you'll have a nice uneven edge. If you don't like uneven edges, don't do this. But I want the scallop trim on this. Okay, this is about 1/8 inch. So I'm just taking the center of the paper and I'm folding it down to make an upside down V. Just like that. Now I'm going to cut my, oh, my scissors keep locking up. I'm just going to cut the bottom at an angle. Okay? So I don't want this V real tight. I want it opened like this. And I'm going to pinch that just like this. And I'm putting a dot of glue on the inside of the paper to hold it. And I'm also putting a dot of glue on the back side. Let me grab her. And I'm going to put this right at her neck, right on top of that last trim we put there. You see that? So then I'm taking the bow and putting a little bit of glue on the back of it and putting that right at her neck. So when you do this, if you see your loops have gotten crushed, just push on the edge of them to open them up. And I'll give you a closer look at that. See that? So we just made her a bow. Now you can use a ribbon to match. Now I also took some of this real thin paper. I got glue strings everywhere. Now this paper has a gold, it had gold writing on it. So I'm going to leave that on the outside, and I'm going to wind this up, just fold it really tight. I'm going to just fold this up, just wind it. The whole length. The whole length. I just wound up. Now see, we made like a little curly Q. So I'm going to unwind this, and I'm just going to cut it. It's not directly in the middle. Now this one needs wound more because I opened it up. But once you roll this paper or you fold this paper, it stays put. So I'm just making little curly Q's. See? And I'm going to put this on her bow also. Do this upside down. Right beside the two parts that hang down, I'm going to stick one of these. It's just a decorative element. See that? Okay, now you can put a pearl in the center of the bow. If you can put a little button. I didn't put anything. We can make a little paper rose to stick there. Let's do that. Let's make another one of these tiny ones. Now this one doesn't have to be as big, so I'm only using a half a piece of the paper. Get the glue off my fingers. To start it out, remember you have to fold your paper into a V. If I can hold the paper, see? You want to angle it. And then at the point, you want to just start rolling it just several times. And then start folding it. I'm going up. See? And I'm going to roll it around. Now I'm folding it down and twisting it. Then I'm folding it up and twisting it. And the whole time I'm pressing the top and bottom together, because you will find out as you start twisting this, it'll start getting distorted, but if you keep pressing the top and bottom together, you can keep it lined up. So I'm going down and around, but I'm going folding it up and twisting it around, folding down at an angle and around. And we've got a little tiny paper rose. This is a tiny one. These ones are harder for my fingers to do because I have arthritis in my fingers, and they kind of fight back once in a while. Now when you look at this, you will be able to see the top and bottom of your rose. This is our top. You can't get a good view at that. bring her back and stick that right into the center. Right in the center. Okay. So now, you see the paper here on, it's the other side of your hardcover. You can put a decorative paper there. You can glitter this. If you want to use these paper wings, you can stick a doily here and make her wings, or if you want to use feathers, you can stick feathers in here. I mean, let your imagination go crazy. I also thought, this is a 10 strand, yeah, there's 10 of these battery operated lights. I thought where the roses go up her dress would be cute to put the lights and then put the battery pack on the back. So that is something I may do when this one's finished with all these roses. But what do you think? What do you think? This is the one we did. And this is the one I did this morning. I think the lights and the roses would be pretty too. I am going to, after I get all these little roses made and go up that vine that we put on, I think I will add lights. But it also would be nice to have a light behind her head. So I got a $1.49 in the book. The doilies, I never pay more than $1 for a doily. And I pick them up, flea markets, thrift shops. When I had the store in Connellsville, this lady walked in with a whole box of them and sold them to me. I didn't even look at them, I bought them, because it doesn't matter if they're stained or if they're ripped, because I cut them all apart anyway. So a little bit of glitter, a little bit of Mod Podge, a little bit of coffee grunge, and a Christmas bulb that we Mod Podged. We just Mod Podged it with paper. This one's not finished, but I just wanted to show you the concept of it. A little bit of lace. We might have $3, $4 in this. So wouldn't that make a nice gift for somebody? Thanks, Mom. If you're going to visit somebody in a hospital, instead of flowers that don't last. Like my patient's daughter, someone made her one as a Christmas gift and she put it in her curio. So there you go. Now you can lightly spray paint this. Thanks, Linda. You can lightly spray paint this. Now the other day when we took these paper doilies and we made the tree, we just dipped the edge of the doily into watered down food coloring. You can do that. Hold the book upside down and dip the pages into the food coloring. Now the food coloring will bleed through your page. You can do that. You can lightly paint. You can take Mod Podge and add a little bit of paint and a tiny drop or two of water just to thin it down. You don't need very much water when you're doing watering down Mod Podge and paint. And you can lightly just brush over like we did the grunge. You can use colored glitter. You can add beads to this. I mean, so the regular angel didn't have all of this, but this is what we've got. Always got to take it up a couple notches. But I loved the doily, and this is stiffened with just Mod Podge behind her head. I love this. It just gives her a little bit more elegance with that doily behind her head. And the original one did not have hair, but I like the hair on her, even though it's just Mod Podge driven. So instead of sending flowers to as a memorial, they send throws and bells, and they have sent books done different ways. But wouldn't this be pretty? And you can put something, some kind of a saying on here, because if you used a Cricut, it would stay on here. A sticker, you can buy sticker sayings. You can put that on here. Even Dollar Tree has sticker sayings. They're for scrapbooking, but hey, go to Hobby Lobby. They got a whole row of scrapbook stuff. So I am going to finish the little roses going up her dress, and I am going to add lights to this one and see how it looks. And I will post a finished picture like I always do. Thank you everybody for joining me. Now starting January's, thanks Di, starting January, I'm going to do this once a month. Whoever gets the most people to join my page is going to get a gift. It could be craft supplies. It could be a glue gun. It could be, who knows what I will come up with. Or it could be supplies to make something that we did on a live. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I have all kinds of ideas. But whoever gets the most people to join my page is going to win. And we're going to do that for a few months. Every month we're going to do something different. You might get a pack of napkins and a jar and a bottle of Mod Podge and some lights. Who knows what you're going to get. So thank you for joining me. Merry Christmas, everybody. Let's see, Wednesday. Yes, I will go live on Wednesday. I'll do something quick on Wednesday since we're so close to Christmas. So yeah, Merry Christmas all of you. Happy Hanukkah to the ones that are celebrating that. And I love y'all. Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.